Okay, let's power through the last news item. So there's an abortion ban that has been put in place, or that was signed into law by the governor there in Indiana. It essentially outlaws all abortion except for the cases of rape and incest, and in those cases, only up to 10 weeks.
So, in a case of incest, where it is incredibly likely that you won't be able to find out or even get the abortion, because if it's, say, a dad, then you probably can't find a convenient way to get either that test or go to the doctor or do anything, because if somebody's abusing you that way, they're probably also watching you like a hawk.
Mm-hmm.
It's already unlikely for you to get this. This is ignoring the fact that some people don't even find out they're pregnant until like late into the second trimester. That's the thing that can happen, and it happens more often than people should be comfortable with when they make decisions like this. I just
Okay, back to the earlier film cameras. I guess I forgot about Polaroids.
You shake it like a Polaroid picture.
Those were expensive, though. Not everybody had Polaroids.
I never knew anybody with a Polaroid.
I knew like one person. It was like a novelty that you used like when you first found out about it and then never touched again. They don't take very good pictures. Anyway, so there's everything that you said, but then there's also like the case of like you might not know you're pregnant until after 10 weeks. Like when do pregnancy tests become accurate? It's been a while since I've had to worry about that.
Well, and the type of pregnancy test that you have an access to when you're a kid and probably are on very strict financial like budget is infinitely less accurate than the type of test that you'll have access to when you have more of a budget or even a doctor's office at your disposal. Like, I'm sorry, the dollar pregnancy tests at Dollar Tree, you can get false positives, and that's really awkward when that happens. But it's also reality.
Yeah, so over the counter like urine pregnancy tests, it's from the first day of a missed period, so that's about 4 weeks with how they calculate the weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Give or take. It could be different depending on your cycle. So they now have 6 weeks from the earliest time they could even find out that they're pregnant. They now have an additional 6 weeks to actually get an abortion in a state that is like with this kind of laws, it's going to be ridiculous to even try and get one.
This is why so many people have been advocating that if you have a period tracker app that you've been using to track your cycles, delete it.
Mm-hmm.
Get the fuck rid of it.
Yeah, because if it keeps your data, then there's a potential for the government to subpoena that if they ever suspect you of carrying out an illegal abortion.
Yeah, none of that. Get rid of it. Do not have, do not use, because the last thing you need as a living, breathing human being is a police officer invading your privacy infinitely more than it has already been invaded that led to you going down this route of trying to take care of yourself. Like, no.
The judgmental cat has pointed out that some people have they still get what appears to be a period when they're first pregnant. It might just be with a smaller flow. Yeah, that does happen. So you could potentially not even think that you have missed a period, at which point it'll then be 8 weeks before you are able to, like, if you miss the second period.
There's also people who get their periods, they feel the cramps, but then they don't actually get a proper flow but once every 3 months. Like, periods are a regular thing for a lot of people, but not everyone. Like, and as a result of that, because of that information, it's a lot easier to say, I don't know when I missed my period because I have kind of an irregular flow. Do you have any data on that? I don't, because it's never really mattered to me. Like, it's just a part of living.
Yeah.
You don't need that information. I don't have it.
Yeah. So anyway, the thing that's making this different is Satanic Temple challenging the government on religious freedom issues. That's nothing new. That happens all the time.
Hmm.
And every single time, it turns out that when courts say religious freedom, what they really mean is religious freedom for Christians. Um,
Freedom for me and not for thee.
yeah. So like as long as the religious freedom you want is something that's in line with Christian values, then you're fine. But as soon as we disagree with that, as soon as Christians disagree with what you're asking for religious freedom wise, then it's not, which means it's not really religious freedom. But
No, and it never
anyway,
has been.
what makes this different is that they're actually this is kind of the spaghetti tactic where they're throwing all the spaghetti against the wall and seeing which one will stick. So they're arguing this from so this law violates a woman's property rights because it's taking of something of hers, which is her uterus, without offering compensation. So that's where like if you look at the uterus as something like with surrogacy, they will often people will often take payments to be a surrogate uh, carrier for someone. So it's like it's a property rights violation in that case. It is my uterus.
Mhm.
Someone's now living there without my consent.
This is
And
why I I have a friend of mine who is very pro gun, very pro stand your ground laws, stuff like that. Of course, we live in Georgia and I grew up in Florida where stand your ground is probably most famous in the United States. Like that's like Florida and Texas are like the two places when you think stand your ground usually immediately come up. And I typically will go, okay, look, here's my argument for abortion. Do you like stand your ground laws? Do you think they're valid? Yes. Okay, cool, cool. Now, do you know the intent of the person who's in your house who you don't want in your house? Not all the time. You don't know if they're trying to kill you. You don't know if they're at risk to you, but you do know you want them gone, and you do know you're allowed to exercise any amount of force to expel them. Now, I want you to trade out house for uterus, and you don't even have to trade out the person here because I'm granting personhood to the fetus at all stages. Neat. This is a person in your house whom you do not wish to be there, and you would like to expel them, and any use of force is perfectly fine for that.
there you
That's
go.
how stand your ground works.
Yeah.
This is stand your ground, but with a womb.
Yeah.
That's it.
So
All the same logic applies.
Fusel in my chat is saying about the online period trackers. I, as a man, downloaded one and started to enter fake periods as to create garbage information for them. I I can appreciate that effort, but I feel like that's not going to work because they probably tie it to specific phones. Even if it's technically anonymous, they can probably still tie it to a device.
Yeah, it's not like it's not like they have an actual physical system of papers they have to riffle through, and the more papers we give them, the better we stall them. Though that would have made for a very funny movie
Yeah.
in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
But
But so the Satanic Temple lawsuit, they're also coming at it from a 13th Amendment standpoint, where this subjects women to involuntary servitude by forcing her to use her body to carry the pregnancy through to birth. So yeah, that's basically
mhm.
slavery. Essentially, like I am performing this unwanted labor. Literally what it is. They're also arguing that it discriminates between women who become pregnant by accident and cannot get an abortion and women who become pregnant through rape or incest and can get an abortion, in violation of the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause. Also argues that Indiana's law discriminates between women who become pregnant despite using birth control and cannot get abortion and women who use in vitro fertilization and are exempt from the law, also in violation of the 14th Amendment. And they also are arguing that the law violates the state's Religious Freedom Restoration Act, the RFRA, um, by punishing the satanic abortion ritual, because I guess they actually have a ritual for that.
Yeah, Satanic Temple has done that with abortion, and also Prismatic Church did that with transitioning. Put transitioning in as a
Mm-hmm.
religious ritual, and then if you were to like medical transition specifically, so that if you were to deny someone medical transition, you could be like, well, it's my religious right under the Prismatic Church and their recognized affiliation for X, Y, and Z. Um, you can't deny me this because, well, it's religion. So,
Yeah.
don't do that.
What happened with the Prismatic Church? I heard there was like a falling out or something. Are they still around?
So they're still around, but there was as they grew, there was a denominational split. I can't imagine why that would happen in any type of anything that has ever been
That's how you prove
conceived.
it's a real religion.
So I don't know the specifics on it. I may end up doing a video on them and then I'll know the specifics because I'll have to research for it. But off the top of my head, I don't know what happened that caused the split.
Okay.
But I do know there has been some kind of split.
I really liked the idea behind that church. If you're not familiar, the Prismatic Church was basically like essentially they were turning LGBTQ acceptance into a religion so that they could then get like they could argue for LGBTQ legal protections under religious freedom sort of thing. And also, like, if your workplace is discriminating against you because of it, then you can bring that to the courts or whatever. It's a really good idea. Apparently, it's not the best executed, but hopefully.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this lawsuit, it might end up not being necessary because the law was also it was struck down by a judge because it violates the state constitution. So the law is not really in effect right now, but I'm kind of curious to see this because, like, religious freedom should be their best bet for this, but like all of these are legitimate arguments.
Mm-hmm.
But it like anytime the Satanic Temple brings a lawsuit, it always just kind of highlights that religious freedom is only for Christians. And maybe Jews sometimes, as long as they are also not in favor of abortion, which it turns out they are in a lot of cases.
Yeah. It's why it just depends on how orthodox you are. Because like Shapiro and classically Abby are very anti-abortion. Abby's recently gone anti-birth control. Like she's been going down that route recently.
Is Abby Shapiro's sister?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay. Every time I see I know it's a fake tweet, but I always see that tweet of like Ben Shapiro going through his sister's underwear drawer or whatever. It always makes me chuckle because it sounds like something he would say, but just like a little bit too far.
All I'm saying is that he doesn't share a room with his wife.
Does he not?
Apparently, the story behind
her
that
vagina's too dry; it dries the air out.
The story behind that was that Ben Shapiro made a tweet talking about their child, and when their child asked a question of him, he had said, go to your mom's room and ask her. And I'm like, do they have different rooms? Like, I know that there are people who get angry in my comment section. There are people who got angry at me when I did my video on the Prismatic Church of Prismatic Light because they're like, "You're supposed to be a skeptic. Why are you supporting religion?" Just like, shut up. I'm a utilitarian over everything. Things that produce more good are good to me.
Yeah.
You talking produces no good, so shut up. But with the Ben Shapiro thing, like I have a tendency to be very mean where he's concerned. I also have a tendency to justify it under he's deserved every ounce of it.
Mm-hmm. That's how I am with Matt Powell.
God, I woke up ecstatic the day that he did that video where he was calling me trans.
Yes.
I woke up, I saw that video. It was while I was in the middle of the sudathon. I saw that video and I was elated. I was like, I haven't done a video on Cupcake in 2 years. I am thrilled. I have an excuse to do this now. You have no idea.
Come on. Your avatar has boobs. You have to be trans.
I love when he also said that was I using skepticism when I mutilated my body to get boobs? And I'm like,
you do realize that's a drawing, right?
Doritos that went into these boobs, right?
That's a cartoon, right?
Never say that Matt Powell is good at delineating between reality and fiction.
I would never say that.
Good, because the pterodactyls in his head told him not to.
Oh, the Civil War pterodactyls. Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, God, he's such an idiot. He's such an idiot, but he's so malicious about everything. Like, he's so mean about his idiocy. Like, dude, you have no right to be such a jerk about this stuff because you're just a fucking idiot. Like, no, stop. Anyway, so I meant to say this earlier, but all the language in this article is with regards to women being pregnant. Trans men get pregnant as well. I think they were just kind of copying the language from the Satanic Temple's lawsuit, where they did specify women. I would assume that the Satanic Temple is pro-trans rights, judging by where they stand on other stances, and this is just like a habit thing rather than an oversight. Like, it's just an oversight rather than actively excluding. So, but I just wanted to make that explicit here that, like, yes, trans men as well. Anyone with a womb, anyone capable of getting pregnant.